Thank you for listening to Sassy Optimist with Cindy Chapin. So I want us all to stand up and think. And what I mean by that, and I'm also saying this to myself, is with everything that's going on right now with this pandemic. And again, I do not ever want to have it come across as being flippant, disrespectful, or not taking it seriously, because none of that is true. I know that when we see the impact of this, with as far as the health and the death, obviously it's very significant. And we have been beyond blessed that in our family that nobody has come down with the pandemic or come down with the virus. But we also work very hard to keep ourselves healthy. But that still doesn't mean that we are immune to it, just like the annual flu or just like the cold or anything. You know, I've said for a long time that I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm germ responsible. And what I mean by that is always, even way before this, is I try to be very cautious and responsible if I'm ill to not go out and expose other people to it, or even when I'm healthy, to if you've been around somebody who's been sick, to try to naturally distance yourself so you don't get it, or if you do, if it's somebody that you need to take care of, then to be responsible and to disinfect and to wash your hands. Obviously, just washing our hands properly. And I have to think about it too. I've always washed my hands, but I would pretty much put the soap on, lather up my palms, and rinse away. And now I'm getting between my fingers and around my whole hand and doing it for the proper amount of time. I think we should do that always, even if everybody's healthy. So I think there's a lot of good things that have come out of it. But one thing that consistently, and I've held off on putting this podcast together because I think that there is so much information out there. Unfortunately, a lot of it is not accurate, and it's a lot of fear that, because that's what sells news. That's what sells people searching different websites and everything. And I've been just as guilty of it, wanting to know. And I realized I had to kind of back off. I watch enough, read enough as far as just what's being put out there on the major news channels, to be aware of what's being said, and then I start to research. So this is really what this podcast is about, is why I mean stand up and think is, with everything, whether it's, this pandemic or an election, I'm saying this, we, definitely including myself, are so entitled that there have been many times, and I'm very ashamed to say this, that I haven't voted. I will always vote for the presidential election, but all the other ones I'm like, if it works, it works, not. But then I started thinking, that I am just giving up my rights so easily. I'm allowing other people to determine who goes into the House, into the Senate, and again, for the presidential one, I don't think there's one I've missed. Maybe I have. But anyway, all of them matter. Every single one of them matter. And I have the freedom right now. And I say that because, we take so many things for granted. That I, this morning, was doing some research on the upcoming election and submitted for an absentee because of everything that's going on. Obviously, everybody's going to have to do it that way. For us here in Georgia, we have one coming up in where I live, May 19th. But beyond that, with everything that's going on with this pandemic, so many things that my eyes have been opened up to. And I just strongly encourage you to really just stand up and think about it. Don't just take what who are they, say, whatever your favorite news source is, when they refer to somebody, look them up. And if you can't find information, continue to look, continue to research them, because you might find out that they're a doctor of psychology, nothing wrong with that, but they're talking about a vaccine, or it's somebody who is not a doctor at all in any realm, who is somebody like Bill Gates, who is out there creating and huge advocates for vaccine and telling people to get vaccines. Well, what does he know? And so I just really encourage you, and I'm probably going to get some people upset or poking the beehive on this one, but at this point, when I say I don't care, I always care. I'm always concerned about people, but what I mean by that is I've got to stop being so concerned about not upsetting, people. But at the same time, so I on a daily basis, I do pray for wisdom and discernment, because I do not want to just react. I do not want this to ever be something that is just me trying to prove my rightness, if that's even a word. But it's for the right reason. And that's why finally today, and what happened was I had purchased a clothing item at Walmart on the 16th of March, and today is the 22nd. 2 days ago, at Walmart, haven't been able to try, it was a pair of workout pants. Haven't been able to try items on for a couple weeks now because obviously they don't want you in the fitting room. And so I thought, well, no big deal. I'll take them home. I brought them home, tried them on, they fit. I'm like, I really don't, because I'm really on this big kick of how much I waste time and how much I waste items and how I buy things that I really don't need. So I'm like, I already have another pair of workout pants that are almost identical. I don't really need these right now, especially because I am furloughed and, I have to be even more mindful and I will even past this once I am employed again, will still keep this because I just realized during this time for me, that was one of my big ahas. So I was like, I really don't need this. So I went to return it just a couple days ago and the gal says, we have a new policy now. We cannot return clothing items. And I was like, oh, okay. She says, well, that just changed. So I thought, okay, so I left. Well, then I had yesterday purchased a hose for watering because I'm starting to have a garden for the first time. We'll see how it goes. And I realized I needed this new hose. So I purchased a hose yesterday. I realized I purchased one that was way too short. So I went this morning to return the hose, which I knew I could. And I went ahead and as I'm driving, I thought, that's just not right, not being able to return clothing items. So I went ahead and took it in. I dealt with the same gal. And I said to her, first of all, I want to give the disclaimer. This is nothing against you. Her name is Denise. I guess it doesn't matter if I say her name because I'm not saying her last name. Her name's Denise. And I said, Denise, a couple days ago I was here and I know that you're being compliant and you're doing your job and you're following Walmart's recommendations. And I appreciate that. I said, but here's my question for you. And this is probably going to involve me talking to a manager. I said, obviously now I've also purchased a water hose and I purchased it on my debit card and I'm returning it and you tell me, no, I'll just give you cash back. So I said, you refund my money by handing me cash. You have a mask on, you have gloves on. You didn't change it from the person that you just dealt with. I said, and now you're handing me cash, which is probably one of the dirtiest items out there, but yet you won't return a clothing item. I said, the more I thought about it, I said, again, this isn't nothing against you. I said, that's ludicrous. That makes absolutely no sense. I said, and I realized the concern with the pandemic. I realized that it could be a potential carrier. I said, but every single surface, including stainless steel, obviously the softer the surface, the longer it will carry the potential virus if it's contaminated. I said, but every single surface, including food. I said, so not that I want to not be able to purchase food, not that I don't want to not be able to purchase a water hose. I said, so why can I purchase a water hose, return it and get money, but I can't get my money back on a clothing item? And she repeated back, they're following Walmart's guidance. And I said, no, that's great. She said, let me call. So she called the supervisor. The supervisor said pretty much the same thing. She said, on a daily basis, they're getting these things. And I said, I get it. I get that you guys are doing your job. And I said, and it's not that I'm just trying to get my money back or I'm desperate. I said, I'm very blessed that the $28 that I spent on these, I said, yeah, I'd love to have it back. I said, but you guys keep saying when this is over. I go, get this. It's not going to be over. I said, so when is when? I said, another thing is you don't have large signage warning the customers about these items. So she gave me the Walmart toll-free number and I called there, said the same exact thing to the young man on the phone. He was very good at his job, very polite, thanked me for the feedback, said he would note it, and that was it. And I said, okay, that's great. I said, but now what? He says, well, the word they, who's they, will get together and have a discussion on this. And if they, again, decide they're going to change it, that they will make the decision to change it and then it'll happen. I said, so how will I know? Well, you won't. I said, well, I did talk him into taking my email and my phone number, my cell number, and we'll see. So here's the biggest thing about all of this. It's not me being right. It's not me getting my money back. It's not the fact that they should have had huge signs up there warning people, because I would have never even purchased the pants in the first place. It's the fact that they, whoever they are, whether it's the Walmart, they, the government, they, the whoever they are, the media, the news, whoever it is, they are making decisions for me, for you, for us. And they are determining what we can and cannot do. So they're saying we can't return a clothing item, but we can return a water hose. We can purchase, certain things are essential, certain things aren't essential, and all of that. So my challenge, I'm encouraging you all to, number one, educate yourself. So I've got so much. I was like, oh my gosh, I would overwhelm you guys. But I'm going to give you two medical doctors. These are two doctors that I have been following. One a little bit longer. Her name is Dr. Pamela Popper, Popper. So again, Dr. Pam or Pamela, Popper. She now is almost on a daily basis doing YouTubes. So I would highly, highly, highly encourage you. She's amazing with her information. I initially started following her because of the whole foods plant-based diet that my husband and I have been on for just over 2 years. But she's just a bottom liner, straight shooter. She actually gets people sending her stuff like, why? Because she's kind of, very almost monotone in her, but I love her. She's a straight shooter, facts only. Whenever she quotes somebody, she always gives their credentials. She encourages you and me to not just, if she lists Dr. ABZ or LMNOP, website, she says, go check it out. Don't just take my word for it. And that's why I really like her. And the other one is a new one. His name is Dr. Rashad A. Buttar. And I'm going to spell this because hopefully I didn't butcher his name. And I apologize if I did. So doctor, obviously. His first name is spelled Rashid. The middle initial A, and the last name Buttar. Again, Rashid. The middle initial A is an alpha, and the last name Buttar. So again, Dr. Pam Popper and Dr. Rashad A. Buttar. Strongly encourage, highly encourage, whatever encouragement you need to go check them out, start listening to them, following them. But again, and another thing, this is a Bible verse, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not, did you ever hear that? Not given us, me, you, a spirit of fear and timidity, but a power, love, and self-discipline. So again, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. I got that. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but a power, love, and self-discipline. So I actually printed it off, put it on my refrigerator. I am going to memorize this verse because, it's so true. So whenever I feel fear, which I do, right now, fear, concern, a lot of different emotions, just like everybody else, I can still move forward. So I just got done doing a workout. And one of the things I've been doing on a daily basis, well, almost every day, is trying to get my plank hold longer. And I'm up to a whole 2 minutes now. I'm so excited, which some of you, that's like nothing, but it's a big deal for me because I could barely do a minute when I first started this just a couple weeks ago. And so my body starts to shake, about a little past like a minute, 10 seconds. I look up at the stopwatch thing I've got going on my phone and my whole body is trembling and shaking. And not my whole body, but my core and my legs. And I just start singing or I start counting, I start doing things to try to distract myself just to push through it. And that's the way I look at this whole situation is you can still have these emotions, but push through it. Something I've said for a long time and actually just bought myself a t-shirt because I was like, this is awesome. Suck it up, buttercup. And I don't mean it out of disrespect, but I say to myself, kind of like that plank, suck it up, buttercup. Your body can be shaken, your body can be revolting, you can feel fear, you can feel anger, you can feel sadness, you can feel all these things, acknowledge them, do not push them down because that's not healthy either. But it's how we deal with it, it's how I deal with it. And what I do with that and not allowing that to control what's going on. So I do want to thank you so much for your time and thank you for listening to Sassy Optimist with Cindy Chapin.